Hello and welcome back to the iFox with Juice podcast. I am your host, Juice, joined again by my co-host, Rina Parsegan. Rina, what's going on?
Nothing much. I'm just excited to be here finally. Talk about this card.
It is a good card. It is a good card. Well, we have a lot of things to talk about, but yeah, obviously talking about the 231 card coming up this weekend. Um, we're gonna get into that in a second, but we're gonna start with reviewing some of the stuff that happened last weekend. We'll start with our picks, I guess. We picked two fights on the TUF Heavy Hitters Finale. We picked Pedro Munoz to beat Brian Caraway, which he did. So we got some points there. And actually, we picked Usman to beat RDA, which they did. So those two in the W column for us. Anything that surprised you, Reen, or any thoughts on both of their performances?
Just Pedro's performance. That was a quick finish for him. That was a surprise because I thought it would go to decision. But yeah, nothing really surprising with the RDA fight, Usman fight.
Well, with Munoz, especially that it was a knockout. I mean, a weird knockout because it seemed like I think Caraway was hurt. It's just a matter of how hurt he was. I don't know if he quit or he just. People say knockouts, flash knockdowns. Like you saw stars and you stumbled. That almost seemed like the same thing, but to the body, like oh that hurt. And then like a second or two later, it's like oh I'm okay, but it was already too late.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird finish, but as long as he's out of there, I'm happy with it. Sounds so bad, man. I'm not a Caraway hater, but he just doesn't do it for me, man. He's not entertaining. I don't know if he even belongs in a cage anymore. So
Well, with him, it's weird because it's like I don't know. There's some guys like Velasquez and Dominic Cruz and stuff who they get injured a lot, and it's like usually catastrophic injuries, and you don't know if they're the same guy. With him, it's like I don't want to say it's laziness because that seems way too broad and ignorant. I don't know if it's that or if he's just maybe a slight injury to him is a serious injury. A slight injury to most is a serious injury to him, or I don't know what it is. I did laugh though when they were introducing him. I forget that Caraway has a nickname and it's Kid Lightning, and all I kept thinking about was how you kept going on last week about how slow he is.
yeah, and that's another thing. Like it just didn't seem like he wanted to be there. I don't know. It
Well,
just seemed all off with that fight, and then he got finished real quick. So
I think he fought like he always did, but Munoz is such a powerful, dangerous, aggressive guy that it kind of just got to him. And when he had enough, he had enough. It kind of seemed like.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then I think you're right with Usman too. Like he didn't do much that surprised me. I was a bit surprised, but I mean I think most people were a little bit surprised with his cardio. He did very well for 5 rounds. I mean he did the same thing with Maya, but Maya's not the same guy that RDA is because he's not any kind of threat on the feet. Usman traded a few shots with RDA, and he's got a chin on him. He took a few of them, and he returned a lot of them. So,
Yeah, when he swings, it's terrifying.
well, yeah, he's a strong. You mean RDA or Usman?
Usman.
Well, yeah, he's just a strong dude. He just has that bone structure too, where he looks like he's made of stone. You can tell when he hits guys, it hurts him.
Yeah, and he seemed a lot bigger than RDA too.
Oh, Usman's a big motherfucker. That is for sure. And
Yeah.
RDA, well, RDA is not even like he's like a giant guy. I actually met him a little bit before he beat Pettis for the title. I actually met him here in LA at a Starbucks. I just basically just kind of said hi and shook his hand. He's not a big guy. Like he's barely taller than me, and I'm like 5'8". But you just see like the build on him. You're like, ooh, just a stocky dude. But Usman's just a different kind of athlete. He just you look at him and like, oh, that guy's got something going on. He's not your average. He's not your average athlete.
And the speed and the man, that body, like he can move. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, especially with the striking, not all the techniques there, but you can tell he's learning, and you could tell he's trying. He's not just like trying to get by on pure power. He's getting better little by little. But I don't know. I will say this: I'm finally sold on him. I was never like an Usman hater. Yeah, I think he's a little bit boring, but I can forgive that. I know that it's not MMA is not always just about entertainment, but I'm finally sold that I think he's not only could he fight for the belt, that's obvious, but I do think he can win. Whether it's Woodley, Covington, uh, Wonder, whoever the top contenders are, whoever the champion might be next, I think he probably can beat them all. He has a good chance against most of them. I don't know if I'd make him a favorite, but he definitely has a good chance against most of them.
Yeah, and he keeps improving. So yeah, I think you're right on that. Like he hasn't hit his prime yet, right? Like that's so crazy.
I think he's like 30, 31,
Is
but he
he
hasn't been
okay?
fighting. Yeah, but he hasn't been fighting that long. I think people have this misconception that most people once they hit like 29, 30, 31, that's their prime. But if they've
Mm-mm.
only been fighting 3 or 4 years, I mean, they still have a lot to learn. They might not hit their prime till like DC. DC is a good example. He's damn near 40, but he's only been fighting like 8 or 9 years. He hasn't been fighting that long. So he hit his prime maybe 3 or 4 years ago when he was like 35, 36.
Yeah, and Usman, man, I just remember watching that tough that that he was on. I
Yeah.
watched that entire season, so it was cool watching him just go
I
through
don't
that and
I don't think
coming up.
I don't think I watched most of that season, but I know at when whoever he fought towards the end and even his couple fights after that, I was like, yeah, he's definitely a force. He's definitely a guy you need to respect, but he just kept doing it over and over and over again. It's like, well, he can't be denied now.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that was that. Then I don't know that I can't say her name. Macy Kyosan won. She beat Penny Kianzad. I guess she's the female tough winner, and then that Spanish guy beat that big country looking mofo. I don't remember their names, but those are your new tough finalists. If anybody still cares about that, but we'll move on to Saturday's card. We had a few picks there. We picked Pedro who lost, and we picked JDS who won. So we went 1-1 there. But before I get into that, I wanted to just get your thoughts about Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt getting outpointed by a wrestler in a basically kickboxing match, and seemed just I don't know. He just seemed disinterested in the fight, and seemed even disinterested afterwards when it seemed like he was all but assuring that he was retired. Well, what do you think, Rain?
I don't know what happened with that fight because I expected Mark Hunt, right? This was a Mark Hunt. He didn't feel like engaging. He was waiting. It seemed like for that knockout power, but he wasn't really trying to get it. He's hesitant on it. I don't know, like maybe because it's his last fight. He's had issues with the UFC. He just didn't care to perform, but he kind of put it out there that he might be going elsewhere.
Yeah, he just said. I mean, it wasn't even a speech. He just said, thank you to everybody who supported me, and I'll catch you guys somewhere else." That's literally all he said. Like, I'll catch you somewhere else. Like, implying I'm not done. I'm just not sure.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go somewhere else. I'm just not sure where yet.
yeah. So that was weird. That was strange. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was cool. I did have a lot of. I don't know what happened at the weigh-in. There was some things with him and Tuivasa, and I don't know what the fuck happened there. Some kind of scuffle, but I give props to all the props to that. All the props in the world to the guy, to Justin Willis. He didn't even say anything after the fight. He just said, "This isn't my time. I'm gonna give the respect to the guy right here," and just gave him the mic. And I mean, he didn't even take 10 seconds to address anything. Hunt didn't, but just the fact that he had that respect, like, hey, I'm the youngster here, and I got to give the OG some respect.
oh yeah, that was great. I forgot about that part. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah, that was
awesome.
cool. Yeah, and then so then we had that upset by Shogun. Even man, a true upset because it wasn't just that he won. He won after getting the shit kicked out of him for the first round. I don't know. I mean, obviously, definitely impressive by Shogun, but I feel like this has this this brings up a lot of questions about Tyson Pedro. Well, what do you think?
Well, the way he went down, it looked like he got hurt.
Oh
Something wrong with
yeah,
him.
his knee or something, right? The
Yeah.
Yeah, against the fence. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, so had he continued, maybe that would have been a different outcome. But man, Shogun just here he is again.
He also looked just like bewildered. Honestly, he looked kind of just lost and kind of tired by the end of it, which is so surprising because Shogun. I'm not gonna say he has bad cardio. He's been to a lot of like 5 round fights, but the way he fights is just so much exertion. And for a guy with the miles and at the age that he's at, like it's pretty crazy. He can still go like that, even if he is dead tired. He can still pull it out.
Yeah, and I think I was reading something about him in talking about the title, but he's not really interested in doing that right now. Like I guess something was asked of him. I can't remember it now, but I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think
what title? Really?
I think he said something along the lines of like, "I want to have a title shot. It'll come to me, but not yet." Like I think he acknowledged that. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna call for a title shot when I just beat this young guy who is kind of unproven.
Yeah, I don't know if he's. I don't know with Shogun. He always surprises me. So
That's kind of just like heavyweight in general too. You know, I mean,
yeah,
everyone kind of has a shot there.
yeah, exactly. You just never know with them big boys.
Yeah, yeah, they're not heavyweights, but they're damn near close. And you know, I think at least 90% of the roster.
Yeah, I keep forgetting they're not heavyweights, but they're big boys.
Yeah, I think like at least 90% of the light heavyweight roster has gotten some pretty good knockouts. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're up there too.
yeah. So that was a surprise. And
Hmm.
then well, I guess the main event was surprising in a way too. Even though we picked Dos Santos to win, he won by knockout. And honestly, a fight he was losing up until that point. He was doing his thing. He was trying anyway. But seemed like Tuivasa got tired. It seemed like he kind of just kept going to the well over and over again, and Dos Santos managed to time him, got some shots in, and then when he went down hard, and you know, got that mount on him and just grounded and pounded him. That's not, Dos Santos. Although Tuivasa is the bigger guy, Dos Santos is still a big dude. It's gonna be hard to get that guy off you, especially when he's raining down shots on you like that.
Well, there was a certain point where he was trying to attack him from the bottom. He was like trying to throw punches and cover up at
Yeah.
the same time. I think I don't know. How do you feel about it? Did it go too long?
No, I mean, I think some people thought it was stopped early. It was a perfectly good stoppage to me because that's not intelligent defense. Yeah, of course he didn't knock him out cold, and I don't think he was in danger of being knocked out very badly. But if you're at the bottom and yeah, you're fighting technically, you're there, but punching from the bottom and kind of throwing your elbows up to block shots, like yeah, I don't know that's not intelligent defense. And he did get hurt badly when he got dropped. He
Mm.
recovered well, but he did get hurt, and he was just gonna take just a big lumping up
Well,
if
he
it would have
took
continued like that.
well he took a beating. I thought.
He did.
I'm like, oh Lord, and then he's just trying to fight it, which I was like, wow, I can't believe he's trying to do it. But damn, he's so tough.
I mean, it wasn't like rock hold Weidman. It was like 2 minutes of just shot after shot. I think Weidman took like 100 shots or something in like a minute by Rockhold.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that, but I feel like it would have gone that way if he just went on heart and just tried to be a tough dude and tough it out, and the ref was kind of being lazy about it. It probably would have gone that way.
Yeah.
Hard to tell with heavyweights, but still those are guys that hit way harder. So maybe it could have ended badly. Yeah. So that basically wraps up. Oh, before I go any further, I did want to give a shout out to one of the guys on the card. Um, I'm forgetting his name. I wrote it down here somewhere. Um, Sodiq Yusuf, the Nigerian guy who made his debut. Man, in case you guys didn't catch it, he got an impressive TKO finish. Some people thought it was a premature stoppage. I thought it was a okay, but he ended up getting a performance bonus. He did very well. He's a good fighter. I liked what I saw, but just his story of him fighting a week after his younger brother died was really inspiring. He almost broke down in the cage afterwards, but he still kept it together. And there was a video that I believe Brett Okamoto tweeted this week about him leaving the octagon after him leaving the building after the fight, and him just kind of smiling and kind of crying at the same time of just him, missing his brother, but also being so proud that he made his UFC debut and that he was still able to achieve this for his family. It was a really powerful thing, and I didn't want to mention the card without mentioning him. That kid's I became an instant fan just from him doing what he did, and as a fighter, he looked pretty good too. So I hope he does well. Did you see this guy, Irene? Do you know who I'm talking about?
I didn't watch his fight. I don't think. I think I missed that one. But yeah, I did see what Brett Okamoto sent out, and yeah, I got kind of choked up with it.
Yeah. I
Video.
mean, yeah, that's something that just as a human you can relate to. It's and then you've seen a few fighters fight a few days or weeks after their dad died, after I know some fighters who fought after their kid died sometimes, like some terrible shit, but it seems like it almost always turns out bad for them. Yeah, but this guy making his UFC debut and everything was just hungry as hell and just kept it together, man. That guy's a warrior through and through. That guy was made for this shit. I don't need any other proof to see what kind of heart that guy has. Yeah. So we're gonna go in. We're gonna go straight into 231. We're gonna preview a few fights on there. Um, so we'll start from the bottom of the ones that interest us. We're gonna go with a women's fight. Pretty good one. Claudia Gadelia versus Nina Ansaroff. Um, I feel like this fight should be at flyweight. I'm gonna double check to make sure that's not the case because I'm pretty sure it's at strawweight. Yep, it looks like it's at strawweight. But both these girls are pretty big for strawweight. I'm kind of wondering why they're still doing the weight cut. But it is a good fight. And I don't know. Well, who do you have here, Ian? What's your thoughts?
Man, I'm still on the fence about this.
You've been thinking about it all day, basically, right?
Yeah, it's just really tough for me because Claudia, she went on a good run. You know, she fought Joanna for the title twice. Things happened. Jessica Andrade changed her life. I
Yep.
think, I mean, ever since then, it just hasn't been good. She didn't look good at all with Carla Esparza. And then now here's Nina. She's coming up. Um, she's been looking really good. Her takedown defense is great. You know, with somebody like Claudia, you need that. So I'm not really sure where Claudia is at. So it's just tough for me to call this one. I think Nina by decision. If she can hang on, I think she can take it by decision. Because I think Claudia tends to just gas out after a while. She goes so hard and then she just ends up like tiring out. So
Yeah,
and
I
this is only
actually
a 3 rounder, so
yes.
yeah. So again, it's tough for me to call, but I think Nina's going to take it.
Yeah, I actually don't think that's what I'm saying. That baffles me that this fight's at strawweight, because I feel that if this fight was at flyweight, that Gadelha would probably not have these issues, these gassing issues like she usually does. But I don't know, that's just me. And then also just I don't know why she wants to put her body through that. She's still pretty young, but she's also been fighting for a while, and she's also been. I mean, she's a jiu-jitsu black belt. She competed in jiu-jitsu for a long time too. So I know there was a weight cut there, but I think you have a good point with Anzorov. And the thing with me that the reason that I'm leaning towards her is what a good athlete she is. She actually may be one of the top two or three athletes at strawweight. She's so fast. She's so big. She's so strong. And those are all the attributes that Gadelha has. Obviously, much better wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but it's very rare that she can go up against anyone that can match her in the athleticism department. And her striking is also just much better. I think she's a Taekwondo black belt. I know she has a traditional martial arts background, but just her striking in general is just pretty awesome. I mean, she beat Angela Hill in basically a pure striking matchup. So that definitely says a lot. And yeah, if her takedown defense is on point, I'm pretty sure she can just piece her up. And yeah, Gadelha is pretty tough. I think it's not going to be easy to put her away. So I think I'll go with the same. I think I'll go Anzorov by decision. So that's the first one. Next one, we're going to talk about Jimmy Manuwa and Thiago Santos. That's the pay-per-view opener. Santos went up to light heavyweight, and it seems like he's staying there. He's going to fight Jimmy Manuwa. Manuwa's been gone, I want to say, yeah, over a year. I think the last time he fought was when the card we were talking about last week with 214, when we met up. I think it's been that long since he's had his last fight. What do you think about the layoff? How do you think that's gonna work out for him?
Oh man, this is another one because Santos just fought. He looked good, but then again, it was against Anders on was it a couple weeks notice. He moved up in weight, so that's good for him. Manuel, he's 38. He's on a two-fight losing streak. He's been inconsistent with his wins. Man, he has KO power too, just like Santos. This is gonna be a fun fight, but man, I'm gonna have to go with the more experienced fighter on this one. This is another one I had a tough time calling. Um, I think it'll be Manuel by KO.
Like, well, Santos is he's not chinny, but I mean, just his style is so reckless that he just seems like one of those guys that's doomed to knock out or be knocked out. So I get your point there.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wrong. I'm looking back. Actually, he fought Jan Blankovic this year. I forgot that was actually a really good fight. It was on a Fight Pass card, I think. I think it got fight of the night. It was a surprisingly good fight, and he lost the decision there. So I don't know. I think people might talk shit because they don't really think much of Jan Blankovic, but he's a pretty good fighter, and it was a good fight. It was close, so I don't really put that much against him for that. But hmm,
It's a
that's
tough
not.
call, right? With this one.
Well, yeah, and I feel that for some reason, not so much that he even lost the last fight, but just the fact that I was certain that he lost to Ozdemir last year, and that was it. So the
Mm-hmm.
fact that he's had a fight in between shows me that obviously he's relatively active. That was in March, so it's a bit of a layoff, but nothing extreme. Um, and then Santos, he seems to fight all the time. Yeah, I mean that was the Anders fight. I saw him at 227 too, the LA card with Dillashaw and Garbrandt. He beat that guy, I think Kevin Holland. He's been on a roll, especially since he's gone up. Um, you know what? Although Santos is reckless, and he still hits fucking hard. And I've never really been too confident in Mano's chin, especially as the years going by. Your chin usually doesn't get better, and I don't think he's also hitting some new stride. I think he's basically stuck in his ways. He's an awesome striker. He's a very dangerous guy, but I think although Santos is kind of crazy and reckless, I think one of those shots can get through. Because I mean, Ozdemir's not really a super technical guy either, and he managed to take him out in like 30 seconds. So I think if he just bum rushes him, kind of the way that Ozdemir did, he might be able to get a finish too. I'm actually going to go with a first round knockout for Santos.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. It is. I think it is kind of a coin flip, but just that fact that I can't fully trust Mano's chin is the reason that I'm gonna go against him. I could be wrong, but because like I said, Santos is reckless, but I'm just gonna go with Santos for now.
Yeah, I get it. It's tough to call on this one, but I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it should be fun as hell. I mean, it could be fight of the night, but I mean the main and the co-main are so excellent that it's gonna be hard to do. So we'll go straight into it with the co-main um, for the not inaugural because Nico Montaño won that for whatever that's worth. But I think a lot of people are seeing this as the real 125-pound champion of whoever wins this fight. Valentina Shevchenko versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Um, as some of you probably already know, they fought 3 times already, and Shevchenko won all 3 times under Muay Thai rules, like over 10 years ago. But now it's MMA, and they've been at the top of their divisions for a while, and now they get to meet again. This is, I don't know. Part of me feels, especially with how much I love, women's MMA. Part of me feels psyched, and that there's going to be a really good fight. But part of me also feels like I kind of already know what's going to happen, given their results. I know some people are saying like, "Well, that was a long time ago, and you gotta." I know it was in a different sport, but I don't see how it goes any differently because they're both strikers at heart. Um, Especially Joanna, she almost never goes for a takedown. She just basically relies on her takedown defense. And Valentina rarely chooses to grapple, and if she does, it's it's very rare. So, but even in that, in the grappling, Shevchenko is dangerous. I mean, she submitted Pena off her back. She's got some good judo throws. I think she even has like a black belt in judo. I know she trained in it for a while. She has a really crazy martial arts background. So I think even in that, she has if they decide to switch it up and grapple, I think that Shevchenko has the edge there too. So I think it's just a very easy pick for me to pick Shevchenko by decision.
And I feel the same way, and I've been waiting to see this matchup. And hopefully, with this fight, the flyweight division will finally launch. But yeah, with that being said, though, Joanna is a beast. Her output and volume is very high. Uh, Her front kicks come out of nowhere. Like I love the way she fights.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, this will probably just be a little banter between you and I, but yeah, I gotta be honest. I admire Shevchenko's abilities because it's nothing that I have, nothing that I've tried to do, nothing that I possess. I feel I can fight, in what I've trained. I feel like I can fight more or less like Joanna, just that active, you know, technical style. Shevchenko is just kind of on another level, and her reads and her timing, she just gets it the way very few people do. I'm more of a fan of Joanna and her style, I guess, because it speaks to me more. But man, I'm just in awe of Shevchenko of her brilliance.
Well, see, with Valentina, I think she tends to wait and she takes her time. With Joanna, you really can't do that. You gotta strike. You gotta keep it moving because I mean she's gonna outstrike you. So if you take her to the distance, you can't be waiting.
See, here's the thing though, is that I think that's kind of a misconception about people, and I understand because Joanna's, she's like a boxer puncher type. She likes to throw and she likes to land, and she's very accurate. It's a different animal with Shevchenko, and we get that idea because it seems either a people are intimidated by her striking, so they either just like try to put her up against the fence or take her down and don't strike with her much, or if they do strike, it's like one or two strikes a minute, just trying to like get lucky because they're just not on her level. But then if you look at like the Holly Holm fight, Holly Holm's a very active striker, and she beat her to the punch every time. Yeah, Joanna's obviously much quicker, but she's also very active. So I
Yeah.
think it's gonna look very similar to that because I think Shevchenko just she just has that down. She has the timing. She has the reads.
Well,
She has
see,
the
when I was
rhythm.
watching that Amanda fight, I was like, wow, this is so different than watching the Holly Holm fight. Like the pace was different.
Well, because Amanda figured it out. Amanda knew if I don't throw much, I mean, how many times can she counter a leg kick? She's not a
Yeah.
knockout puncher. It's not like she's gonna check the kick and throw it right and drop my ass. You know, she's probably either gonna take them or just do a few checks and try
Mm-hmm.
and go forward with another combination. But
Mm-hmm.
she played it as simply as possible, and it worked out for her. I know some people think that she won the fight. I don't see how or why.
Mm-hmm.
It was a close fight, but I don't think she won. Um, Nunes took a risk in that fight to do the to implement the plan that she did, but it worked out. Some
Yeah.
people it seems like some people are saying that they think that Joanna will do that, given that she'll adapt and she can probably do things like that. But I just don't think it's in Joanna's heart to play it safe. She
Yeah.
plays it safe in the way that like okay, a jab, a front kick, keep people at distance. But she doesn't play it safe as like, oh, I'm just gonna be reserved and conservative, and I'm just gonna throw one or two strikes a minute. Like that's not her style because her whole approach to the game is score, score, throw,
Yeah.
throw, outpoint, outpoint.
Yeah.
Because she's not a knockout puncher either, so
Mm-mm.
she
No.
can't rely on one shot to put her out.
Yeah. And then Valentina, man, she's taken out. Well, she's taken down every fighter she's fought. So she's not scared to go to the ground either. So, man, it's interesting. But I think, yeah, Valentina by decision.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the odds. I gotta assume she's a favorite, but I don't know how big of a favorite.
Yeah, I think
Just
so too.
yeah, I don't know. A lot of people seem high on Joanna. She did look excellent against Tisha Torres, but to be honest, I was furious at Tisha Torres that I was like yelling at my screen because she did nothing. I actually thought she had a good chance in that fight, and she did nothing to improve her odds. She just kept throwing like a 1-2 and occasional leg. She did nothing to throw her off. She did nothing to scare her. She didn't try to blitz her, and I thought she kind of gave that fight away. I didn't think it was her fight to win to lose like that, but
Mhm.
I don't think she helped herself. She put herself at the best position to win. But yeah, so okay, we're both going with Valentina there. And on to the main event, the one we've all been waiting for, the one that I've definitely been waiting for since March, since Ortega knocked out Frankie. I mean, that was stunning, and it was supposed to happen on International Fight Week, and then
Mhm.
Max had his well, first he tried to fight Khabib, and that didn't happen, and then he had the concussion issues for the July card, and that got called off. So that's a bit worrying if you're going for Max. It's who knows where his health's at because a concussion can last a few days or weeks, or it can last months or years. So it is a bit risky in that. But Ortega, I mean, he's undefeated, obviously, but his last two wins, I mean, what he did to Swanson I think Swanson is still his most incredible win, because he just schooled him basically, and then
That's crazy.
that guillotine, that in the air modified guillotine, that was insane. But then obviously being the first man ever to finish Frankie Edgar, and then with the fucking uppercut from hell that he threw, that dropped poor little Frankie Edgar. That was crazy. But Holloway too. He's coming off of, yeah. It's been over a year. It's been, well, damn near a year since he beat Aldo the second time. But still, he beat Aldo twice in a row, and beat him even more convincingly in the second fight. So he's got his. It's kind of hard to pick between the two of who has the better accomplishments as of late, especially in the last two wins. But this is so weird and interesting, this fight, because Ortega's just a guy that I've never been able to figure him out. Like, to this day, I can't figure him out. Yes, he's incredible on the floor. That's not a surprise. We've all known that since day one. And most of his wins are by submission. But then he gets some crazy knockouts too. Thiago Tavares, Clay Guida, obviously Frankie Edgar. And he doesn't look like a powerful guy, you know. He's got knockout power, but he doesn't look like Tyron Woodley or something, you know. And then Holloway, I mean, we know what Holloway does. He's just a pit bull, and he's relentless. So it's such an interesting style matchup. The jiu-jitsu guy with knockout power, and then just the relentless, striker, pressure fighter. Um, I'm just gonna let you go first, Ring, because I still kind of have to gather my thoughts on this one.
Oh man, I think this will be one of the best featherweight matchups we've seen in a while. Um, God, it's so much build up to this fight. Finally, it's here.
Well, we're 2 days out. By the time this airs, 1.5 days out. So I'm still, again, knock on wood, but yeah, I mean, this is pretty close. And then I know some people were saying that Max didn't look well, and that it looked like he was slurring again, and I didn't see any of it. Maybe I saw the wrong videos. Maybe people are looking too deep into it, but I don't know. I got a good feeling. I got a feeling it's gonna happen. And then Ortega said he's gonna fight on the card with or without Holloway. So if the unforeseen does happen, and Moicano's on standby, as that we've been led to believe, then we can get a rematch of that. But we're gonna stick to this with Holloway and Ortega, because that's the fight we've all been waiting for.
Right. Yeah. He looks good. I didn't see any of the issues that people brought up. I've been watching like the conference they just had. I've been watching Embedded, the other interviews that they've had, the media scrums. I don't see anything wrong with him. So, I mean, if we do have a healthy Max, the old Max that we know, that is, diverse, has all these different tools, the pace is so high. Like, I think Max take it by KO. If we really have the old Max, because I think it'll just be too much for Ortega. I think it's a little too soon if we do have the old Max.
What you think, like a mid fight, or early or late TKO?
Maybe fourth round,
Fourth
third or
round.
fourth round. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him do it in the third, and I'm sure he could do it in the fourth too. Yeah, I mean, Holloway doesn't seem like a guy that's ever going to get tired. So
His cardio is insane. Yeah. I hope it's the Max that we know. He makes it. We're not going to see the backup fight. This is the fight that we get to see.
yeah, all right, thinking about it, yes, I'm gonna go Holloway. Um, I know there's some bias there because he's basically my favorite fighter now that Carlos Condit is kind of gone with the wind right now. But Carlos is my boy for life. But Holloway's the guy right now. He's my man right now. Um, I don't want to go just with my bias, just with favoritism, because I like him. Um, what I see of the reason why I think he can win, I think Obviously, the striking advantage goes to him. That's a big factor. But what I think another factor, maybe even the biggest factor to me of why I think he'll win is that he's got incredible takedown defense. I can't recall the last time he's been taken down. And Ortega doesn't have the greatest wrestling to me to begin with. So I think he's going to have to do something real spectacular to get him down. So I don't think he's going to be able to take him down in that way. So I think he might go kind of crazy. I think he might try and do like what he did to Swanson, go for headlocks or jump guard, or try and go for a flying triangle or flying armbar or something like that. I don't know. I think his Holloway's game matches up kind of badly for him because he can't be comfortable, and then the biggest thing is, Ortega's probably most well known for losing or trailing and then coming back last minute. Clay Guida, he beat him with 10 seconds left. I was there at the forum when that shit happened. I lost my fucking mind because I'm like, man, they finally got this kid. They finally got this kid. And then, of course, the Moicano fight. I saw that one live, too. And Moicano, for some goddamn reason, decided to go for a takedown as he was beating the shit out of him. I don't know. I don't want to say that was a lucky win because he could do that to anybody. But, man, I just cursed after that fight. I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Come on. You had that. I was going insane. But Holloway is incredibly smart. His fight IQ is off the charts. His pace is relentless. And his striking is not to be fucked with. So I think just based on experience, based on the style matchup, I'm gonna have to go with Holloway. And you said fourth round TKO. I think it'll go to a decision. I know Ortega hasn't gone 5 rounds, but I haven't seen much of him gassing, so I think he'll be able to take it. It's gonna be a hard fight. I think he's gonna get he's gonna get beat up, but yeah. I think he'll make it to the decision and lose maybe a 4-1 decision, a 49-46 scorecard, something like that. So, all right, both going Holloway there by different methods, but both going with the Hawaiian there. So that does it for that card. We're gonna get into some news, some MMA related, some not MMA related, as we've been doing in the past few episodes. I actually was gonna start with this, but I decided to save it. I decided to stew in my anger with this I don't even know what to call it. Just this bullshit with the ESPN Plus Brooklyn card and the UFC 233 Anaheim card. So this is personal to me because I want to go to UFC 233. Me being in LA, obviously Anaheim's only an hour drive for me. I really want to go to that card, and I love the Honda Center. 214 last year was awesome, as Rina could agree, and it's an awesome venue too. I really don't like Staples Center, so anytime I get to go to Honda Center, I'm psyched. But man, they just took away the main event. So for those that don't know, Cejudo and Dillashaw is no longer the main event for 233. It is now the main event for the Brooklyn ESPN debut. So we got that. So I'm not happy about that. And then on the lighter side, Joanne Calderwood was going to fight Ariane Lipski, who was making her UFC debut. And for you guys that don't know, Ariane Lipski is just a violence goddess. She is amazing. She's one of the best prospects, one of the best female prospects the UFC has signed in a while. She was going to make her debut versus JoJo here in SoCal, and that got moved to Brooklyn. So I'm not happy about that either. And I was actually making plans to buy tickets tomorrow for the 233 card because they were going on sale tomorrow. And now that got moved up a week. I can't buy them till next week. presumably because they don't have a fucking main event. And they can't sell tickets to something that they don't have a main event. Although that didn't stop them at UFC 230 when they just pushed Derek Lewis and Daniel Cormier into the cage. But I digress. So I'm not happy about any of this shit. And then obviously we got the news this morning that that Greg Hardy is going to be making his official UFC debut on that Brooklyn ESPN Plus card. And on that card is also Rachel Ostovich, who, as we all know, just was abused by her husband. And for you, whatever reason you might not know, Greg Hardy is a notorious woman abuser. So it's all rainbows and sunshine over here with my the card that I wanted to go to, and just the shit show of I really can't put into words. I can't process of what the UFC is doing and thinking with this this ESPN card. Those are my thoughts for now. I'll let Reen speak as I gather more and can try to process any more sentences out of this.
I'm laughing. I know it's not a laughing matter, but
it's terrible. I mean, it's not you're not terrible for laughing. It's a terrible situation. It's just it's so amateur. It's so blood boiling in the Ostovich situation. It's so asinine, and it's so like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Yeah, seriously.
See, this is the part I don't understand. So do they not really think this through, or they were just slapping this card together because they needed bodies? If you say that you weren't thinking this through, then maybe everybody would be cool with it. Yeah, you fucked up. You're dumb. If you say this is for entertainment purposes, then you fucked up.
You mean the ESPN card with Hardy and Ostovich and stuff?
Yes, like that. Man, that thing just pisses me off. I don't understand why they did this.
This is gonna sound bad because clearly Greg Hardy's not a good guy, and there's reason for everybody to hate him.
Yeah.
But in all this stuff that's been happening with him lately, I'm way more mad at the UFC than I am at him. I was so furious, and I still am. I will never get over this of when they signed him, because for those who don't know, he was signed because of the Dana White Contender Series. And last year when it debuted, he would have signed 1, 2, I think once he signed like 3 people off the card. It was mostly 1 or 2 people that got signed. For some reason, he became very generous this year and decided to award like 4 contracts, which is good. On that card that Hardy fought on, there was, I think he gave 3 or 4 contracts. But man, there was this guy who said he retired after the fight. I don't know if he kept his word on that, but this guy Chris Curtis, who's I believe from the CES, who I've seen a few times. He's a very exciting fighter. He has like over 20 fights. I mean, he's a veteran, and he's very exciting. And he's a CES champion. I mean, he's got very good accolades. And he sidekicked the dude in the face, like Shawn Michaels, straight up super kick in the face, and TKO'd him in the 3rd round after beating the shit out of him. Just pieced him up, totally outclassed him, and then knocked him out. And he got passed over for Greg fucking Hardy, who got like a 10-second knockout against fucking nobody. And just those pictures, that video of Dana, just holy shit, oh my god, this kid's incredible. He can hit so hard. And it's like, okay, yeah, he's a big guy. He can hit hard. So fucking what? Like, you could get a guy off the street to do that. I know Greg Hardy's, an athlete and he played in the NFL, but really, what's special about that? About a big guy who has power? What Chris Curtis did was absolutely incredible, and he just got passed over because Dana had a hard on for this piece of shit. Not even, it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that they awarded a contract to Hardy over Curtis. Okay, not everyone's gonna agree. I can even give them that. It's the fact that they went out of their way to give him a contract, because it wasn't, oh, here's your contract, you're gonna fight next month. It's, well, this is his professional debut, so he still needs some fights. So we're gonna get him another fight, and then we're gonna give him this development program, and then he'll get into the UFC eventually. It's like, why wouldn't you just tell him, hey kid, good job, impressive knockout, go and get a few more wins, and we'll talk later if you're really that intent on signing him. But no, he went out of his way to give him a development deal to assure that they got him. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but they signed him. There was an uproar at that, so all right, so we stewed in it. Now here is this. You're you're trying to sell this guy to us, but you just kind of shit on himself. Like you shit on yourself too, right? You shit on him, you shit on yourself. You should have never did this. Now you can't sell me on him. Like I don't believe in your brand right now. I'm kind of upset with your brand right now that it's so hard to like talk about this. It's domestic violence, man. You know,
Yeah, yeah. I
this guy
mean,
is a bad guy, and just to have him on the same card, and I just don't understand entertainment value, is that why?
well, his opponent, I'm forgetting his name. My apologies. I think he's also a newcomer. Is saying that he thinks, and he seems like a nice guy, at least a rational guy to think this. He probably doesn't think, he's trying to be as rational about it as possible. He says, I think the UFC brought me on and maybe even purposely put us on the card with Ostovich so I can beat him. Like, oh, they want to see him lose, and that'll be kind of like revenge for the fans and revenge for Ostovich or something. I don't know. And even he said like, I want to do this for Ostovich, which is kind of like some white knight sounding bullshit,
Wow.
but but it sounds kind of weird and whatever. But the point is that I think he is genuine in this, like yeah, he doesn't like him. He has a reason to that he wants to beat him up aside from the check and the contract and stuff. So I mean, I guess you can say that if you're being an optimist,
Mhm.
but it's hard to believe that because it's not like the UFC is well known for, like you said, thinking everything through. Like I think they just see a guy who obviously he's not respectable in any way, but respectable in the sense that he's an accepted athlete, quote unquote, because he played football, and they're gonna make this ESPN debut. It's like, well, for you ESPN fans, here's this ex pro football player. But I mean, I think even if you're a casual MMA fan, you probably know something about football, and you probably have heard about Greg Hardy and probably know that he's beat up women. So I just don't know. The thing that's just the most stupid to me, the most unfathomable thing to me is that if Dana's a fan, if they think he can be something, okay, whatever, that's on them. But it concerns me that they think that there's actual fans for this guy. Like, oh, people are gonna love this guy. Like we kind of made fun of him for like Sage, who just left. He's at one now. Like, oh, everyone's gonna love this guy. Look at him. He's like a pretty boy. He looks like a boy band member, but he can whoop ass. It's like, well, he can kind of whoop ass, and he's really young, and he's kind of a character. But no, nobody was really on the Sage hype train. It's like, well, what makes you think they're gonna be on the Greg Hardy hype train? What does he really have to offer?
Yeah, I don't get it. I I don't know. It just pisses me off though, regardless. Like I don't know what else to say other than this is just a bad move on UFC's part. I don't like it. It's wrong. I don't think it's good for the fighters. I don't even know if did they even ask her if it's cool?
I'm
I
gonna go out on a limb here and say no.
do they even do that kind of stuff? And maybe that's what they need to start doing. If they're gonna have fighters like this,
But
hopefully not anymore, but with these type of problems, then can we think about fighter relations and like being a little bit more sensitive to what's going on outside of the octagon, not just the matchup. So what's going on with them, especially her. Her orbital bone got broken, right? It just happened. And she's already brave enough to even continue with this fight, and then now you got this. I'm sure she just wanted to build up to this fight, train, whatever. Now people are talking about this with her.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I don't think they reached out to her, and I don't know why they would, as cruel as that sounds, because we know the UFC's MO. They can't give the fighters any kind of leverage in that way. And yeah, this isn't a thing about money and like, oh, we're trying to get more money, renegotiate your contract or some shit like that. But to take their feelings or their experiences into consideration, it's like, oh, that in a way implies that they have some kind of say or power over them, and I don't see that happening in any incarnation of the UFC as it is right now.
Yeah, it's just sad because especially with people that own the UFC, the people behind the scenes, WME and things like that, with everything that's going on with that Me Too thing or whatever, I don't want to even get into that. That's a totally different topic. We can go on for hours on that too, but with just this, like nobody's saying anything. It's just cruel, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I know it's the fight game and all, but you're talking about this girl getting beat up, and then there's it's just bad. I don't get
It's
it.
it's heavy stuff, and
It is. It's just so
it's
hard to talk about.
yeah, and it's not. I'm not gonna say it's not necessary. Obviously, we need to address these issues, but it shouldn't be necessary in this context. Yeah, we can talk about um, just society in general and maybe how men view women or teaching especially boys, teaching kids to not do this and to talk about it in a broad, social way. But to talk about some promotional bullshit of like, is this in bad taste? And did they think this through? It's like that shouldn't happen with the biggest MMA organization in the world. That we shouldn't even have this conversation. We shouldn't even be. This shouldn't even be on the radar, but it is because they don't think things through, or they just have some weird skewed vision of what people want or what they like, or I don't know. It's not good. I don't even know what else to say anymore. So yeah, I'm with you there. It's just a bad situation, and hopefully it never happens again. And hopefully Greg Hardy gets beat and beat badly, and hopefully they cut him sooner rather than later. And I think that's probably it for that. So moving on from that depressing, horrendous, annoying, blood boiling shit, we're gonna get into our news story, which, as of you guys, if you followed us in the past couple episodes, it's always a bit ridiculous and well, sometimes some kind of dark humor. This isn't exactly dark humor. This is just plain ridiculous, at least in my opinion. So PETA, the people for the ethical treatment of animals, sent out this tweet a few days ago, and they're trying to change people's language, as is the trend to do nowadays. So I'm gonna read you the tweet verbatim, in case you guys haven't seen it. So it's just a photo, and it has this chart, and it says "Stop using anti-animal language." So it has a bunch of sayings on the left side, and then what you should say now on the right side. So instead of kill two birds with one stone, feed two birds with one stone. With one scone. I'm sorry, one scone. Instead of saying be the guinea pig, be the test tube. Instead of beating a dead horse, feed a fed horse. Instead of bring home the bacon, bring home the bagels. And instead of take the bull by the horns, take the flower by the thorns. It basically seems like it's universally patent. It's just people are just hating on it left and right and mocking it. And seems like it's just peak virtue signaling, peak language policing. I don't know why people aren't getting the message that this is not any way that normal people function. But I guess PETA is just one of these organizations that's totally tone deaf to what normal people think and talk about. So, Rain, Are you bringing home the bagels?
No, I like bacon. Thank you very much.
How dare you?
Man, I get what their message is, the fur thing, don't be cruel to animals, things like that. But what is this? You're trying to tell me how to express myself? What to
Yes,
say? Like, I
yes.
don't like that. It's one thing, yeah, don't be cruel. I get it. I won't be. I'm not that person. Don't worry about that. Now you're telling me what to say. That's crossing the line now. And I think it's happening everywhere.
Yeah, it's not even anymore a banning speech, which is bad enough in whatever way. Whether it's just someone on the street corner telling you don't say that, at least you could take that into consideration. Or, and the really bad aspects, the government telling you don't say that, which is worrying. In this case, it's not that big. It's just PETA being PETA and trying to impose their views on people, or trying to change the world one tweet at a time. Who the fuck knows how crazy, with how crazy they are. I don't know what I think they really do think that this will make a difference, but yeah, it's not banning of speech. It's compelled speech. It's you should speak this way. It's not that, oh, I don't like that word, or I don't, that word is offensive. Um, it's that I want you to say it this way, and I want you to say these words. Not even like, oh, I don't like the way you say that. It's like, I want you to say these words right here that I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, it's insane to me. Like, I don't speak like a normal female, right? So I'm just going to use me as an example. I cuss,
Yeah.
I say whatever I want. I'm straight up, I'm real as it gets. Not a lot of people are used to that coming from a female, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of like the same thing. Like, you're not normal. You shouldn't be speaking that way. Well,
Yeah.
this isn't normal.
Exactly. Like how annoying is like that old, you know, proper waspy lady that ladies don't speak like that, and where are your manners? That type of shit. If you saw that bitch at a party, you'd just go to the other side of the room or you'd leave. Well, now it's people on the internet, people on the internet trying to tell you be nice to animals. So don't even bring up the fact that they have died and do die every day to feed people.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. And just coming from PETA, it's a big organization. To have this come out there, like that idea is put out there, it's scary that it could possibly be something that could happen. You're making us speak to people a certain way because of all these sensitivity issues or all these issues that are coming up because of the way we're treating people and this and that. Those are personal issues, right? Shouldn't that be handled like on a 101 or something? You're trying to
Yeah,
make us, all of us, society, speak a certain way.
I think people think that this is easier, maybe, or beyond that, they think that people are incapable of adhering to or teaching this to whatever their children, their students, what have you. So it's like, well, I you read it and I guess they're supposed to like plant a seed, like, oh, maybe I should. I never thought of it that way. Maybe I shouldn't say these things. But the thing with language too is that it's like it's one thing to say hateful things. It's one thing to stop saying the N word, because that had its history, and it was an ugly history, and it was only used to demean. It was never meant as a respectful thing, or as like a double entendre, like it had a double meaning, or gay slurs. That was never meant for anything good. But I understand why we kind of went that way, to not say things like that, but to tell people that, it's like if back then they were saying like, oh, well, don't. Yeah, it makes sense to call black people black, or African Americans, or whatever they went to. It's like, well, yeah, that's what they are, instead of racial slurs. But now it's like, oh, don't call them black, call them angels, or something ridiculous like that. It's like, no, what are you talking about? And it's all you're doing is basically pushing people the other way. It's like, well, that's in no way how I feel. So no, I'm not gonna do that. In fact, I'm gonna keep saying what I've been saying, and I'm gonna do it even louder and more in your face.
Yeah, I'm just shaking my head because we have this going on right with PETA, and then we have the UFC and their issues with Great Hardy. Like this world is just interesting, right? I'm just gonna say interesting.
Interesting.
I'm gonna keep it PC like everybody else is trying to, man. It's interesting.
Well, it definitely is that. I tend to find more humor and shit. Even things like this. I mean, I laughed pretty hard when I first read this
Yeah,
list.
you send it to me. I'm like, is this real?
Yeah, it is
I'm
real.
like, no, man. I want
You
to
want to
fight it.
think it's not because it's like, well, that is definitely a funny joke, but then you see it's PETA and you're like, yeah, yeah, they mean it. They believe
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I thought it was funny, and then I looked at the tweet. I'm like, oh God, PETA, really, man? This is the angle they're coming at with us. All right.
And I will say, just as a side note, this will be my last bit on this. For PETA, sometimes it's good to use animals in your analogies. Sometimes it's good to use animals in sayings because sometimes we use other things and they're much more terrible. So some people may not know this, but the old children's singing nursery rhyme, whatever you want to call it, of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And everybody knows that.
Oh God, is that going to change too?
No, well, here's the thing. It's, everyone knows eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by its toe. If he hollers, let him go. Well, this saying has been around for a long time. It wasn't always tiger. In fact, you got to take out the T and replace it with an N, and you got to add a G in the middle of that.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I prefer tiger over that other word,
Mm-hmm.
but it's an animal. You don't want to hurt a tiger's little toe. Maybe we should go back to the old way of saying it.
Oh no, no, God.
Exactly.
God, like just the sensitivity bar just keeps getting pushed further and further, and it's like we just gotta censor everything, everything.
And as I and to be honest, when I first heard of the bring home the bagels thing, probably the most ridiculous one. When I saw the bring home the bagels, I'm like, that might be kind of offensive too. I'm sure some Jewish people can say that and say that this is anti-Semitic. Maybe that's my racist brain going in other directions, but I wouldn't be surprised if people look at it that way because that's where my head went.
They probably did. If you did, then they probably did. Who knows? But because we can go in all kinds of different directions.
Yeah,
If you try to do this to us, we're going to go in all different types of directions and be like, well, what about this and what about that? And
because in the same example, okay, you don't want to say bring home the bacon, fine. Okay, why don't we say bring home the watermelon? That's a fruit. That's not an animal. That's peaceful. But
and
I'm sure some people would think that that's kind of racist, and
might
I
have
wouldn't
vegans on
blame
us. Dude, might have vegans like pissed off.
them.
That might
Yeah,
be next. You just never know, man. God, I don't know.
yeah.
It's just interesting. I always say like with technology, you just see more and more. What society's up to and doing, and I don't know. It's interesting, especially on social media. You see so much happening, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, people should just keep in mind that this is all in fun. At least to me, I never take too much of this seriously.
Yeah.
The at least the UFC stuff that we were talking about earlier, that is serious because that's social issues making its way in sports and a sport that we happen to love. But
Hmm.
people being tone deaf. It's one thing to be tone deaf. It's one thing to be, I mean, just honestly kind of assholes about. I'm not like with all the stuff we've been saying about PETA. Obviously, we're not trying to coddle sensitive people, but I think it's fair to say it's not nothing wrong with being sensitive about domestic abuse, especially in the way that it's so on the nose. Like, oh yeah, Rachel Ostovich, Paige Van cool, followed by woman abuser, you know, either right before or right after him. Either way, they're going to be sharing a locker room together in some way, one way or another, and you just hope something like that doesn't affect a person, especially like Ostovich, who knows? I mean, not to be dramatic, it's kind of serious. I mean, she might have PTSD. She might have anxiety around the guy, especially if it's that fresh in her head. It's kind of fucked up.
And yeah, just people talking about it again. Her situation.
You think it's the thing with that. It's just you think it's gonna die, and then it comes back, and it comes back like, if not worse, just in equally bad ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you said, today's been interesting, and from the UFC world to PETA and everything in between,
And
it's definitely been crazy.
they fire me up sometimes. There are days I'm just like, oh yeah, UFC gonna UFC, and then sometimes I'm just like, what the? Come on, come on, really?
You
Who's
know,
running this shit?
you know what? Actually, I just because we went back to fights, I totally forgot we didn't even talk about Wilder Fury.
Oh
So
yeah.
let's get a quick, minute or two on that. So I didn't see the fight. This is gonna be kind of jumbled up because we didn't really go in order, but whatever. So I didn't see the fight. I wanted to, but I caught some of the highlights and I saw the infamous 12th round knockdown of Fury, which is insane. If any of you guys haven't seen it, you should go out and you should go scope it out. But man, the way that Fury came back from that, literally like from the dead, Undertaker style, as everyone has mentioned, that was insane. But just the fact of, man, I kind of just want to say I just don't know how anybody's not a Tyson Fury fan, even if you're a Wilder fan, which, as you already know, I don't know how anybody could be. But I digress. If Even if you're a Wilder fan, I don't know how you can not love Fury. I mean, just the heart that he showed, seemingly how good he did in the fight, and then what he said after that. He got up for all the people, struggling with mental illness, and to show that if he can get up from that, you can get up from whatever your situation is. And then him saying that he was going to donate his purse to the homeless and lower income people. Like, man, that guy's fighting. That guy's fighting for himself and for his sanity, for his soul. He's from the purest place in his heart. So I just have nothing but respect for someone who does that. I mean, I've gone on and I defend people like Conor McGregor who want to fight and make all the money they can. I still think that is what you should do with fighting. But I'm never going to call someone like Tyson Fury a fool for just being, a benevolent guy, for being just a swell, positive dude, and fighting for people, for actual people that he thinks need it.
Yeah, that was a good fight. I didn't really get to watch it either.
A lot
But
of
just
fights last weekend.
yeah, there's so much going on. But
Yeah.
what a story with him. It would have been cool if he would have knocked him out like I wanted him to. But it's just the comeback was just, man, I can't believe he did it. I followed him for a while and just noticed his weight gain and all these changes. And, they were talking about this fight for a while, what's going to happen. And I didn't think he would ever have the ability to get back in the ring.
Well, people that go that way usually don't.
Yeah. Yeah, he had like 2 nut fights too or whatever up to this fight, but with Deontay, geez. I mean, knocked him down twice and still couldn't put him away. So that amazing. Well, yeah, it happened in a draw. It finished in a draw, but all around it was still. If I still feel good about it. Oh yeah. I was kind of upset it went in the draw at first, but there's just a story all around, and then we might have this rematch happening.
So
I
much
think it's
hype.
great.
Even
Yeah,
more hype that's gonna happen for the next one.
yeah.
It's something good did come out of that. It was inconclusive, but people were happy with the fight. People
Mm-hmm.
became a fans of, even me, man. As much shit as I talked about Wilder, I will give him credit. He, from the little that I saw, yes, he was still being Wilder. He was still windmilling, but there was times where he was jabbing and doing proper things. Like he kind of noticed, like I can't just swing at air and think that I'm gonna knock this guy out. He seemed like to put it in his head that yeah, you gotta be kind of disciplined. And for the little that I saw, I was impressed. I was impressed because it shows me that he does have a brain in there somewhere. And to knock a guy like Fury down, especially the way that he did, it's not easy to do. And that wasn't a lucky punch. He timed that very well, and he got very good accuracy on his shots. So I will give him that. He still is not a great boxer, but I'll I'll give him credit where credit's due. He did a good job in that fight for what it's worth.
Yeah, it was great. So can't wait for the rematch.
Yeah, we'll see when that happens. I'm definitely tuning in for that one because
Yeah.
I missed the first one. I don't want to miss the second one. I'm sure it'll be as good, if not better. So all right, Reen. I think we're gonna call it a night. This is our 5th show now. They're getting a little bit longer, but I think we're just kind of getting in the rhythm now. We like these news stories. We like, going in detail about some of these fights. So it seems like people aren't complaining. We're gonna keep it up as long as they'll tolerate us. So
We got a little emotional today.
yeah.
Got a little amped up. So
Well,
yeah.
MMA Twitter seemed to be going insane today too, so we weren't the only ones. So I think we're just expressing the same feelings that they were. But
Okay.
yeah. So at least there's that. But yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up now. As always, give us a follow on the iFox with Juice Instagram page, Twitter account. I'm at Juice_MMA. Rina's at Fox with you on Instagram and Twitter. And I put up a poll. We did talk about one of the fights, Gadela for Zanjarov. I put up a poll of what fight people are most excited about besides the main and co-main, and that seems to be the one that won. Getting a few more followers now, so if you haven't followed, please do that. Like and subscribe and do what you got to do with the podcast. And I think we're gonna start putting out more polls, and who knows? We'll probably get into fan questions and stuff now. See where we're at with our followers, and maybe we'll start going down that route with the next episode. So I hope all you guys take care. Any last words, Reen?
No, just enjoy the fights and Team Holloway.
Exactly, Team Holloway. Especially here, blessed era. I do believe in the blessed era. It'll last much longer than the Machida era because it already has.
Yep. So enjoy, guys.
All right, guys. So that's episode 5, iFox for Juice podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Thanks. See ya.